In this video, we will talk about the predictions of this new Rave year of 2024, which started yesterday, January 22nd. By itching human design and gene key systems, the actual new year starts with us entering the 41st gate, or you can also say the 41st gene key on a human design astrological wheel. 41st gene key is a start codon and operates like a front door key in our genetic code. That's why every Rave New Year starts from this gate, from this gene key. We are entering a new cycle, and in this video we will talk about prime characteristics of it and what flavor will 2024 taste like. Here is the body graph for this year. 41st and 31st gene keys are always the same every year. They represent the position of Sun and Earth accordingly. Because they are the same, we won't speak about it much. You can rewatch the same prediction video from last year. The only thing worth mentioning is that we finally entered the new cycle. The new fresh energy was given to us. That's why for many of you it was so hard to fulfill your New Year resolutions, as you subconsciously felt that you are still going on the old year's energy. So now is the good time to set goals and start new things. The energy changed. Who can feel it? Write down in the comments. One more thing I want to mention before starting is that we will talk here about the lessons each of us will face this year. And please understand that every one of us will learn the lessons one way or another. Nobody will be left behind. Humanity is one, so it's either we will all heal or nobody heals. So the only thing which can affect your path this year is, will you walk it out of fear or out of love? So without any further ado, let's proceed to the predictions. The North and South nodes, Rahu and Ketu, our karmic nodes, are represented by 51st and 57th gene key. They are also programming partners, which means that they are closely interconnected and carry an important lesson together. So let's unlock this lesson. 51st gene key has the shadow of agitation, gift of initiative, and city of awakening. That's where we are going this year, towards awakening of more and more people. From the very first gate, we can see how powerful this year of the dragon will be. 57th gene key has the shadow of unease, gift of intuition, and city of clarity. That's where we are coming from. And I will speak for myself that unease was a major theme for me last year. I felt these fear-based frequencies of humanity, and my life seemed to be a pure chaos. But when I started to listen to my intuition, it guided me that I have to receive more clarity in my thoughts and in my life, that I have to figure out what is essential in my life and focus on that. I was meditating a lot this past year, and I managed to gain this clarity on the essential, which was my book, a fairy tale which helps to introduce children to the concept of meditation, which is called The Myth of the Nymphs. And today I got a copyright certificate for it, so for me it was like a confirmation that I learned the lesson correctly. Many of my friends and followers also shared that the lesson of clarity and what is essential was very big for them in the past year. And how was it for you? Please share in the comments below. And if you still want help to gain clarity and inner peace, try my channel Guided Meditations from the Rise and Shine Meditations app. Link will be in the description box below. So if we will look deeper into this pair of 51st and 57th gene key, we can notice that once we start observing these unpleasant states of agitation and unease, once we will allow them to be, to exist, once we will create a space and hold the space for them, we will start gradually rising above the states and hear our intuition, which will tell us what is essential in our lives, what we need to focus on, what we can bring more into our lives, and what we need to cut from it. Once we clearly see that, we can initiate a new path for ourselves and channel all our energy into it. The gift of initiative is all about good fortune, because now we know what we want and we start doing it with love, and everything done with love will materialize and bring good fortune to you. Another thing that this gift initiates is the opening of our hearts. Once we gain clarity in our minds and calm down the mind chatter, all the freed energy will travel to our hearts and burst them open. And once our hearts will open up, awakening will start to take place. The more hearts are opening, the bigger are the chances for humanity to reach the fifth dimension. It takes only over 30% of population to wake up, and we collectively will make a leap into 5D. So the karmic lesson for this year looks so beautiful and divine. There will be challenges. Most probably the feelings of the agitation and anxiety will amplify. But as long as we remember to observe and hold the space for this chaos, we will taste the promising light of awakening. Let's proceed further. The moon, which represents our emotional plane, is represented by Gene Key 12 this year. The shadow of vanity, gift of discrimination, and the city of purity. Vanity is the hardest shadow of all because it's the hardest to notice. It most probably will be the last trial before your final awakening. It's very much about self. 12 Gene Key is very much about the language, so the big lesson for us here will be not to talk that much about all of this I know better, I'm so unique, I'm so wise, but to listen more and to realize that to truly love yourself means to love everyone else as they are the direct mirror of you. And what the gift of discrimination will bring us? Well, the wisdom of what thoughts, emotions, and people are good for us and what we need to cut off of our lives and discriminate against. Basically, the lesson will be to discriminate against fear and to choose love. That's how we will purify our minds and our hearts to reach awakening. Next, we have Mercury, the planet of communication and trade. It is represented by the 38th Gene Key, Shadow of Struggle, Gift of Perseverance, and the City of Honor. This indicates that we will still witness struggles and wars in 2024. It will be difficult to negotiate for peace for the world leaders, but it's important to remember here that all the outer reality is the result of our inner reality. It just shows us that the majority of populations still fight within themselves and still are choosing fight over acceptance. Again, I will repeat that acceptance and surrender are two different things. Surrender means that you are still in a fight mode, you just lost, but acceptance means that you exited the fight mode altogether. This year is important to observe how do we solve our problems. Through fight and arguing, through constant struggle, or through love, understanding, and acceptance. The gift of perseverance is teaching you to carefully choose your fights. Always ask yourself, what are you fighting for? Is it worth it? What methods do you choose? And of course, it will teach you the highest frequencies of honor. Do you honor your struggles and the struggles of others? Do you honor your shadows and your traumas? Do you honor life itself? Come back to these questions throughout this year. Next, we go to Venus, the planet of beauty and human relationships, and it is represented with the 10th Gene Key, the shadow of self-obsession, gift of naturalness, and the city of being. Venus will teach us this year to be at ease with ourselves and the world, to accept and love ourselves unconditionally. But to do that, we need to notice the shadow of self-obsession in ourselves and how we bring it into the relationships with our closest ones, with our friends, and with the world. To finally be at ease, we need to exhaust the constant search of an answer to the question, who am I? And realize that there was no you in the first place. We need to stop competing with each other and see that no one is better or worse. Everyone is simply unique. We need to start teaching our children from the early age not to compete And for that, the system of education has to be changed. All the marks and evaluativeness should be gone. We are programmed to compete with each other from the early age in schools and kindergartens, and these relationships have to change. We are so busy competing with each other, and this creates enormous fear of missing out. So we already forgot how does it feel to just be. We don't know life where we don't need to do anything, where we can just be as the rest of the nature. Mars, the planet of conflict and war, is represented by the 38th Jinki again. So the theme of struggle will be particularly strong this year. So choose your fights carefully. As we spoke about this Jinki in Mercury, not to repeat, I will only add one thing here. Once you're choosing your fights, remember this sentence. Do I want to be right or happy? Do I want to be right or happy? This beautiful piece of wisdom which will always put you into the right direction and will help you to honor yourself and others. Jupiter, the planet of expansion and good luck, is represented by the 27th Jinki, the shadow of selfishness, gift of altruism, and the city of selflessness. I have goosebumps. This year, the true path to expansion of your business, your heart, and your life will be through unconditional giving. We are selfish only when we live from the mentality of lack. The universe is abundant, and to see it requires just a slight change in your attitude. Once you give unconditionally from the bottom of your heart, it creates a supercharge of love and positive energy, which will open the heart of the person you are giving to, and he will spontaneously want to give further, and this will start a chain reaction of heart-opening experiences, and once the circle will come back to you, you will be rewarded thousandfold. Give and you shall receive, reminds the Jupiter this year. Saturn, the planet of karma, is represented by the 55th Jinki. It's one of the main Jinkis of human design in Jinki's teachings. It has a shadow of victimization, and the gift and siddhi are the same, which is freedom. Saturn will want us to work on our victim mentality. Saturn will want us to take back the responsibility for our lives this year. We will have to stop putting responsibility on our leaders, gurus, government, wars, and climate change. Saturn will remind us that we are the creators of our lives and that we created by our choices. Do we make these choices out of love or out of fear? What governs our thoughts, emotions, and actions, love or fear? Are we still victims, or we can spread our wings and soar free above our karma? In my previous video, when I channeled the energy of the upcoming year, I received the message that the year of a dragon will make us do the final choice what reality we want to live in. You can rewatch it if you want, but in short, our reality is branching now, and various parallel realities start to exist simultaneously. So it's the year we need to make the choice what reality we want to live in. And after 2024, the choice will be made and a new reality will start to materialize around you. So here with the 55th Jinki, I see the same message. We will have to make a choice. Will we still live through fear and ego, third dimension, or will we live through love and open heart of the fifth dimension? 55th Jinki carries a prophecy in itself about the new generation of human beings and a new era, which just reinforces this message. For me, it has also a big symbolism, as I channeled my children's book, The Myth of the Nymphs, through it, and my Saturn is in the sphere of children. And this year, when Saturn is in the 55th Jinki, my book will see the light of the day. Synchronicity. Okay, let's sum up the lessons of our personal planets, and after we will briefly touch the three collective planets, Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. So we saw in the beginning that we are going towards the collective heart opening and awakening experience. But on this path, the last strongholds of fear must be eradicated. often the last fights are the hardest, and we will see a lot of struggles this year, personal, in the intimate relationships, and of course on the collective global scale. The first reflex will be to close our hearts even more, becoming obsessed with our personal survival on many levels. We can become selfish and self-centered, feeling that the troubles of another are not my troubles. This year might bring us fake leaders and fake spiritual gurus who will be driven by vanity and personal gains. But once we will find the power in ourselves to stop and discriminate against it, our minds will gain clarity and understanding of the side of another. Our hearts will open and we will help each other unconditionally, creating the massive wave of love which will pull us out of our victim mentality and will grant us the freedom of choice. And above all, the mantra for this year will be, do I want to be right or happy? And now let's proceed to the collective planets. Uranus symbolizes the connection between the part and the whole, our connection with the cosmos and its higher octave of Mercury. It's a planet of rebels. It is represented by the 23rd Jinki, shadow of complexity, gift of simplicity, and the city of quintessence. Our connection to spirituality and God became way too complex. So many teachings and teachers nowadays. So how can you simplify it? Because God is simple. God is just love and light. This Jinki is in my life's work, and I found this simplicity in meditation. What's the simplicity for you? Most probably we will see how complex systems and teachings won't any longer sustain themselves and will crumble, giving rise to more simple methods. Neptune is the planet of intuition, mysticism, and spirituality. It is represented by the 36th Jinki, the shadow of turbulence, gift of humanity, and a city of compassion. We are definitely living in turbulent times, and the systems are shaking because they are old and outdated to fit our upgraded consciousness. But those who are awakening before others have the major lesson to learn to hold the space of compassion for the rest of humanity. Because again, no one will live the 3D dimension before others because we are one single multifaceted organism. It's either we all heal or nobody heals. And finally, Pluto, the planet of transformation, is in the 60th Jinki, the shadow of limitation, gift of realism, and the city of justice. Oh, this is my favorite gift of common sense, which seems to leave our planet. Now just think for a moment, all the laws, those limitations are present in this world because we lack common sense. In US, for example, we have $1,500 fine for littering on a highway. But it's just a common sense that you don't have to litter on the streets, and there are trash cans for this. Same with all their commandments, for example. Isn't it a common sense that you can't kill another or can't steal, or that lying will do you no good in the long run? Common sense and divine justice are my favorite forces, and I'm happily welcoming them back to Earth. And meanwhile, most probably we will still live through some forms of limitations, and because it's a collective planet, it might be connected to wars which are going on right now. But isn't it a common sense that the human's life is more precious than the territory? Isn't it a common sense that it is better to be happy than to be right? I leave you with this. But for now, please put like and subscribe, and I'll see you in our next video. With love and gratitude, your Lakshmi.